Welcome to 21st Sports. Football is back, and so are we. And to cap things off for Week 1, the final game of Week 1 was the second game of the Monday night doubleheader played September 12th, 2016 between the Los Angeles Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. So the Rams make their return to California, of course, on the road, but not a far road trip for the Rams. But they've got a long way to go, that's for sure, as the Niners just dominated this game. Chip Kelly made quite the debut there in San Francisco. And of course, though, the Niners, remember last year they won their home opener on Monday Night Football against the Vikings. But in this game, though, Carlos Hyde looking good. He put the first points on the board with an 11-yard touchdown run in the first quarter to make it 7-0. That was the only score in the first. Then in the second, Sean Drawn got one in off a 3-yard touchdown run to make it 14-0. San Francisco over Los Angeles. That would be it for the first half. The third quarter was scoreless. And then in the fourth, Blaine Gabbert hooked up with Vance McDonald for an 8-yard touchdown to make it 21-0. And then with about 5 minutes left in the game, Carlos Hyde bookended the game with another touchdown. This one, a 1-yard touchdown run, as he had opened up the scoring and he closed out the scoring in this game to make it 28-0, as the Niners were the only team to shut out another team in Week 1, the opening week of the 2016 season. So they blank the Rams. And the Niners, not really the biggest offensive output, but they definitely got the job done, 28-0. It was really their defense, I thought, that really looked good. As the defense actually looked pretty good last year, and they've definitely looked to have built upon the success they had on defense last year, and they looked really solid. Of course, the only team to shut out another team in Week 1. Definitely impressive, even if it was the Rams. And the Rams, they have relocated to Los Angeles, but the Rams have a lot of good players. They actually have a good defense, and that was actually what was a little bit surprising to see, that the Niners defense was the one that clearly, made the Rams defense just kind of get lost in the shuffle in terms of, at least from a spectator standpoint. Although we did see that scuffle there as Aaron Donald was ejected from the game later on in the game. As you can see, the Rams, their frustrations boiling over, and that was the thing. They did not look very disciplined throughout this game, and that became very apparent as things kind of exploded, and then we saw the ejection there. At that point, the game was far out of reach, and the offense just could not get anything really going, whether on the ground or through the air. Is the Rams, they've got a lot of talent, as I was just saying, especially on defense, but they really were not able to stop the Niners despite that. And of course, it's a whole team sport. You gotta be, firing on both cylinders, both sides of the ball. And if the offense puts the defense in a tough position, the defense cannot do it alone. And the offense really was not doing anything for Los Angeles. Did not put up even 3 points. They put up 0 points. And Case Keenum, although, he's got some potential, but did not really see much of it on display on Monday night, as he was just 17 for 35, only 130 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions for Keenum. He also rushed for 10 yards off of 3 carries, but he's going to have to play better than that if they're going to win any games, and that's always been their weakness for the Rams when they were in St. Louis before moving to LA. Is they've had a good defense, they've had some talent, at the receiver position, the running back, even tight end, but then it's under center where they always seem to fall short. And once again, of course, you can't put it all on Case Keenum's shoulders, as really nobody was doing much to win this game, as they just got totally dominated by the Niners. The Niners came out looking really good in this one. Of course, the Rams, for whatever reason, always seem to take the first half of the season off, and then they start getting it going in the second half of the season once it's already too late to really get anything accomplished. They do enough always to save Fisher's job, which I don't really think it's Jeff Fisher. He's a good coach. You just wonder what is it in that organization, in that franchise of the Rams. I want to say Los Angeles, but they just got to Los Angeles and they're not in St. Louis anymore. But yeah, they've had their issues for quite a while now. You just got to wonder what is it going to take to turn that team around. But things are looking good, though, in San Francisco. The Chip Kelly experiment is 2.0, 3.0, whatever. It didn't quite work out in Philadelphia, but starting off pretty good in San Fran. Of course, San Francisco had some success with another former Pac-10 coach with Jim Harbaugh as he came over from Stanford. Of course, Chip Kelly did make that detour in Philadelphia with the Eagles before coming to San Francisco, as he used to be the coach of Oregon, where he had tremendous success with the Ducks at the collegiate level. Not so much, like I said, in the NFL, but maybe things are going to be different in San Francisco. It's, at least it seems to be going good after week one, but it's just week one. Blaine Gabbert, though, 22 for 35, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. They're not a lot of yards, but he didn't make mistakes. And he actually had 43 yards on the ground off of 9 carries. Carlos Hyde, 23 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Curley had 7 receptions for 61 yards. Patton, 5 receptions for 60 yards. And on the other side, Todd Gurley for the Rams had 17 carries for 47 yards. Kenny Britt, 4 carries for 67 yards to be the Rams' leading receiver. And on defense, Navarro Bowman had an interception. Armstrong had an interception as well. Brooks had a sack, and Armstead had a sack for San Francisco. Sensabaugh forced a fumble, and so did Easley for St. Louis. But with those fumbles, they recovered one, and the Niners recovered one of those 2 fumbles. We look at first downs. The Niners dominated, had almost 3 times as many first downs with 28 first downs for San Francisco versus just 10 for Los Angeles. And on third down, the Niners 8 for 17, 47% conversion rate on third down. The Rams just 3 for 15, only 20% on third down. And on fourth down, both teams were 1 for 2, 50%. But as you see, if you can't get a team off the field and you can't stay on the field, you're going to lose games. And that was the case for the Rams. They couldn't get the Niners off the field, and they couldn't stay on the field. Whereas the Niners were getting the Rams off the field, and they were doing a decent job of extending their drives. We look at net total yards, 320 for San Fran, 185 for Los Angeles. On the ground, the Niners netted 150, the Rams netted 65, and the Rams were held to just 2.8 rushing yards per rushing play. So Todd Gurley getting shut down. And then the passing yards netted 170 for the Niners, as Gabbert was not sacked at all in this game. 120 netted for Los Angeles, as Keenum was actually sacked twice for a loss of 10 yards in this game. And then we look at the penalties. The penalties really hurt the Rams. Of course, later on in the game we saw the fight break out and the ejection, but it was 10 penalties against the Rams for 102 yards. Just 2 penalties for San Francisco for 10 yards. So you have 10 times as many penalty yards as the other team. Well, you're probably going to lose. Not always. We saw with the Raiders, they had more penalty yards than New Orleans yesterday. But when it's 10 times as many penalty yards, well, that's not going to bode well for you any which way you slice it. And then we look at the red zone. Well, the red zone, non-existent for the Rams. They did not make one trip to the red zone. And if you don't make a red zone trip, well, you probably aren't going to get in the end zone, which is what was the case on Monday night. And on the other side, conversely, for the Niners, they could not be stopped once they got in the red zone. 4 for 4, 100%. So they were getting it in. They got down there, and all 4 of their touchdowns were red zone touchdowns. They also won the battle of the time of possession, 32 minutes 10 seconds to 27 minutes and 50 seconds. It's a very dominant performance by San Francisco. It'll be interesting to see moving forward if they can build upon this success. And with that defense, they definitely can win some games, but it's going to be a matter of what they can do on offense. If Gabbert can protect the ball, as you saw here, he doesn't necessarily have to put up big numbers. And Carlos Hyde, shy of 100 yards, but he got in the end zone twice. He was definitely productive on the ground and helping them to eat the clock and move the chains. So they're getting it done on both sides, and a very impressive win for San Fran. But let me know in the comments section below what plays and performances stuck out to you. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend, and enjoy all the sports.